Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Can I have your attention, please? Very, very impressed with your ability to come into this high school and find a seat. Northview, I appreciate your patience as we welcome our friends from Westview. Again, welcome everybody. My name is Mr. Quater. I'm the principal here at the high school, and we welcome you to our second annual Civil Rights Commemoration. We're very excited. We're very honored that you're here. Our first program this morning with our high school students went very, very well. I'm happy to report that almost every single one of them, all 775 of them, were well behaved. That's a win for us. I encourage you to do your very best to pay attention, to listen to the music, to listen to the words of the speakers that talk to you as we commemorate the civil rights movement. It is now my honor to present to you Mississinewa High School senior Janae Stevenson. Please welcome her to the podium.
Will you please rise and recite the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And please stay standing as we listen to the Star Spangled Banner. Dr. King was a champion for diversity. The land of the free has become even more diverse since Dr. King's time. America continues to grow, and today many ethnicities make up our population. For instance, African Americans used to be the largest minority group in the nation, but that has changed. Latinos are now the largest minority group. But a common misconception is that diversity is just about race. It's about many differences, including culture, politics, religion, ethnicity, language, nationality, sexual orientation, gender, socioeconomic status, age, and physical and mental disability. These differences can either pull us apart or bring us together. Dr. King said, "We must learn to live together as brothers or perish together as fools." In order to do this successfully, we must learn to respect one another. Respecting diversity is respecting the differences that make us who we are. Diversity may be hard for some to live with, but we cannot live without it. Our differences are what make us who we are. No one wants to be a carbon copy of the person sitting next to them. Diversity allows for different ideas and different perspectives. It makes us stronger. If we want to keep getting stronger, we must respect one another. We must love one another. In the words of Dr. King, returning hate for hate multiplies hate, adding deeper darkness to a night already devoid of stars. Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. Thank you.
We must develop and maintain the capacity to forgive. He who is devoid of the power to forgive is devoid of the power of love. There is some good in the worst of us and some evil in the best of us. When we discover this, we are less prone to hate our enemies. Martin Luther King, Jr. This song is universal and shows that love knows no boundaries. As the Crimson Choir sings Love in Any Language by contemporary Christian artist Sandy Patty, let's remember the words of Dr. King. I've decided to stick with love. Hate is too great of a burden to bear.
Find to A young boy growing up in a time of segregation. A devout Baptist minister who sought to turn the other cheek. A dreamer moved by destiny into leadership of the modern civil rights movement. This was Martin Luther King, Jr. Dr. King combated segregation and racism still prevalent in America in the mid-20th century, insisting always on nonviolent methods to achieve his goals. He soon became a national icon of progressive American ideals. In Washington, D.C., on the National Mall, the Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial is a fitting tribute to Dr. King's leadership in the civil rights movement. Dr. King's drive to move America toward the ideals of freedom and equality culminated in the 1963 March on Washington. From the steps of the Lincoln Memorial, Dr. King imagined an end to racial inequality in his "I Have a Dream" speech, a speech held as one of the greatest pieces of American oratory ever to be spoken. "I have a dream," he said, "that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character." Heavily influenced by Abraham Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation and Thomas Jefferson's declaration that all men were created equal, Martin Luther King Jr. gave the nation a vision for unparalleled liberty and equality. The design of the monument is taken from Dr. King's very words, "Out of the mountain of despair, a stone of hope." To visit this monument means to literally pass through the mountain of despair on the way to the stone of hope, where Martin Luther King Jr. stands as a beacon. Nearby, excerpts from his sermons and speeches are featured on the 450-foot inscription wall. At the Martin Luther King Jr. National Historic Site in Atlanta, Georgia, you can visit the home of his birth and where he played as a child. You can walk in his footsteps and hear his voice in the church where he moved hearts and minds. You can marvel at how he was an instrument for social change, and you can visit the tomb where this great man was laid to rest. On April 4th, 1968, Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated. But his immortal words have carried on.
We hope that even if you've heard them before, that today you'll listen to them with newfound respect for his message of hope for peace and tolerance in an ever more diverse nation, that you'll find a sense of hope and optimism in them despite the many challenges that diversity brings to our nation today.
I'm not unmindful that some of you have come here out of great trials and tribulations. Some of you have come fresh from narrow jail cells. Some of you have come from areas where your quest for freedom left you battered by the storms of persecution and staggered by the winds of police brutality. You have been the veterans of creative suffering. Continue to work with the faith that unearned suffering is redemptive. Go back to Mississippi. Go back to Alabama. Go back to South Carolina. Go back to Georgia. Go back to Louisiana. Go back to the slums and ghettos of our northern cities. Knowing that somehow this situation can and will be changed. Let us not wallow in the valley of despair. I see you today, my friend. So even though we face difficulties of today and tomorrow, I still have the governor having his lips dripping with the words of Mississippi King. One day right there in Alabama, little black boys and black girls will be able to join hands with little white boys and white girls as sisters and brothers. I have a dream today. This will be the day when all of God's children will be able to sing with new meaning, my country tears to thee. Sweet land of liberty and the outcast. That mountain falls by land from every mountain side. Let freedom reign from every country. This must be country. So let freedom reign from the lowly. Let freedom reign from the mighty mountains of the hills. Let freedom reign. Let freedom reign from the spoken word of God. Let freedom reign from the spoken God. Not only that, let freedom reign from the stone mountain of God. Let freedom reign from Lookout Mountain of Tennessee. Let freedom reign from every field and old hill in Mississippi. From every mountainside. Let freedom reign, and when they happen, when we allow freedom reign, when we let it reign from every village and every hamlet, from every state and every city, we will be able to see with all of us, black men, white men, Jews and Gentiles, Muslims and Catholics, will be able to join hands and sing the words of the old we are glad, thank God Almighty, we are free at last.
Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. In the story told in the song presented by Ole Miss singers, we are encouraged to take a stand for peace side by side, regardless of race or gender. Are you willing to make the sacrifice and stand up for what is right?
Said stand for peace, so they stood side by side that the struggle might cease. She said, stop the strife. So they stopped and they worked for a better life. She said, look for love. So they lifted their eyes to the light above. He said, hate is done. So they ended the hate and the war was won. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me, a wretch like me. Once I was lost in the strife and struggle, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. He said, change will come. So they prayed for a change in the hearts of some. She said, we are not done. So they started again where they first begun. Change will come. Look for love. Stand for peace.
Good morning. Tolerance is a devotion to respecting people, opinions, or behaviors that one does not necessarily agree with. It is an unwavering understanding that opinions outside your own exist, and that although you may not understand these opinions or agree with them, you are morally obligated to respect them. Sounds simple, right? But like any difficult math equation or abstract concept, when applied in society, many of us fall short. It is easy to be tolerant when the social groups we flock to mimic our own beliefs and interests. But true tolerance is found where diversity and unity create one path. When we are faced with opinions that are different than our own, we can choose to create division, or we can choose to foster unity. If we can all devote ourselves to embracing the diversity around us, we can remove the walls between us. In 1963, it was easy to see the civil rights movement as strictly a war on racism. But as this ceremony closes today and we return to our normal routines, I want you to find tolerance for our Muslim communities. I want you to lift up our LGBTQ peers. I want you to approach with tolerance and a willingness to learn every person and every situation in which you lack understanding or experience. Robert Ingersoll sums up tolerance to be the act of giving every other human being the rights you claim for yourself, the right to grow, the right to love whomever you want, the right to worship in whatever manner you find appropriate, and in short, the right to live our lives, not the lives stereotypes and outdated mindsets have predetermined for us. Tolerance is not an accommodation. It is an obligation owed to every person. Thank you.
I'd like to close today's programs by reading an excerpt from President John F. Kennedy's civil rights speech from June 11th, 1963. This is one country. It has become one country because all of us and all the people who came here had an equal chance to develop their talents. We cannot say to 10% of the population, you can't have that right. That your children cannot have the chance to develop whatever talents they have. That the only way that they are going to get their rights is to go into the street and demonstrate. I think we owe them and we owe ourselves a better country than that. Therefore, I'm asking you to help make it easier for us to move ahead to provide the kind of equality of treatment which we would want ourselves. To give a chance for every child to be educated to the limit of his talents. As I've said before, not every child has equal talent, or equal ability, or equal motivation. But they should have the equal right to develop that talent and their ability and their motivation to make something of themselves. President John F. Kennedy's words. For our Northview friends and our Westview friends, this is a lot of grown-up talk. To summarize for you, you need to treat everybody else the way you want to be treated. Regardless whether they're a boy or girl, regardless of the color of their skin, regardless whether they like you or not, I encourage all of you to treat other people the way you want to be treated. Now I'd like to go around and give some thank yous. First of all, to our choir and our band. Please join me in thanking them for their awesome experience today. I'd also like to thank our student media team who is streaming this, who has prepared all the media, as well as our social studies department here at the high school. Please join me in giving them a round of applause. Northview students, Westview students, very, very impressed with your behavior today. And for that, I think there's a group of people that we need to thank sitting amongst you. So I want all the students, a big round of applause for all of your awesome teachers today. I know the weather's kind of crummy outside, but I appreciate you being here. I appreciate your attention. You were very, very well behaved. We are going to dismiss the same way you came in. We'll start with our friends from Westview. You guys can head out that way. We'll start up here with Westview over here, heading out that way. And Northview, again, you will retreat the same door you came in. Everyone have an awesome weekend.